Do what rich people do and you'll become rich. Do what poor people do and you'll remain poor. That was the advice given by the guru Dave Ramsey on his podcast for The Ramsey Show. And I really want to break this down because even though Dave Ramsey gets a bad rap, I do agree with a lot of his philosophies, but I don't agree with all of them. When we start thinking about the core of Dave Ramsey, it is very emphasizes the importance of adopting habits, building behaviors, and decisions that really contribute to long-term success. But really mimicking the wealthy, is that going to make you wealthy? It's a very inspiring idea, but it's very vague when you think of the personal finance aspect. So let's break it down and see what and if it does hold any water. So the question comes, does imitating lead to success? Now, the habits of the rich can reveal patterns. We've talked about this before: discipline, predictability, determination. Ramsey regularly argues that people to live below their means, prioritizing savings and investing often. This, of course, is a very basic philosophy that he talks about. So if you make, $50,000 a year, if you're saving 10%, if you're prioritizing that savings, prioritizing investing on a regular basis, you are going to build wealth. Now, of course, the big thing that doesn't take into account is when it comes to lifestyle inflation. By living modestly as your income grows, this is where people kind of get stuck. You can call it keeping up with the Joneses, you can call it lifestyle creep, whatever you want to call it. But essentially, if you're making $50,000 a year and you're saving 10%, absolutely great. You have your car, you have your house, you have all of your bills. Then when you start making $70,000 a year, a lot of people might keep that 10%, or you really need to step up how much you're saving. But a lot of people will look towards a bigger house, a larger car, better vacations, more luxurious items, which of course is a hallmark of wealth, is really what you owe, what people can see. For me and my wife, we are super conservative when it comes to pretty much everything, which of course means that we have well over $1 million in investment accounts, which is kind of crazy, but yes, it gets there. Now, when you start thinking of multiple income streams, when you think about real estate, business ventures, it seems like the wealthy have a lot more opportunity out there to buy assets that appreciate instead of buying depreciating assets. Now, this is something that I came to realize about 10 years ago, is when I'm purchasing an item, I really do give it a little bit more thought. I give it my 48-hour cool down period, but I think, what is going to be the benefit of the thing that I'm buying? Am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability? Is it going to be something that is going to essentially produce additional income? Is there going to be a big benefit that I'm getting out of something that I'm buying versus the depreciation? This, of course, for me, the biggest thing about this was cars. If you look at buying a new car, they estimate right now driving a new car off the lot loses about 20% of the value. So you figure right there, think if you bought a stock the next day or the very first day you bought the stock, it dropped 20%, you'd be kicking yourself for making that investment. That's exactly what people are doing when they're buying these new cars. And of course, as you drive it and put miles on it, the depreciation only goes faster and faster. And unfortunately, it is one of the biggest depreciating assets that we see in America. Yet we have people spending $60, $80, $100, $120,000 on new vehicles. So if you take a $100,000 car, you drive it out the lot, now it's worth $79K. Guess what? You just lost your 20%. This is the reason why buying used vehicles, in my opinion, guys, really makes sense regardless of your financial situation. Do I have money to pay for a brand new car? Yes. Could we pay cash? Absolutely. Do we want a car payment? Not at all. Even both of the cars that we bought them both used. We paid them off within the first 2 years. That's right, we paid them off in full within 2 years, giving us the opportunity and the power to keep a majority of our income. It's not being eaten up by payments, but not being eaten up by interest as well, giving us the ability to really invest. Now, when it comes to Dave Ramsey, he encourages individuals to really emulate the behaviors of the wealthy, saving aggressively, putting 10 or 20% of your income away, spending intentionally. That is the focus, and that is the real thing. And the hurdle that I had to get over is what is going to bring me assets and what is going to bring me money, and focus primarily on growing your assets while reducing your liabilities. This, of course, is a very hard to beat formula. And again, when you think about getting back to the fundamentals, getting back to the very basics, it does make sense. If you're buying things that are going to appreciate, if you're buying things that are going to hold more value, and you're eliminating things or really cutting down or eliminating entirely things that are going to be more expensive, all of a sudden you're keeping a majority of your paycheck. Now, the second one, it talks about the nuances of financial reality. Now, while I'm not a financial planner and I'm not as well, I am a financial counselor, which I do counsel a ton of people about this. Ramsey's advice is good up to a point, and that's why I said I like the philosophy, I like the basic fundamental of what it is, but not everyone starts in the exact same level. If you have parents that are wealthy, chances are they did, a lot of education, a lot of conversation, maybe even started, investing for your school account, started investing early. And when it comes to financial success, it is going to be deeply influenced by one's circumstances and how they are brought up. But it doesn't stop at that, because there is a point where you look at opportunity, when you look at resources, that it is up to you. I always think back to what Will Smith said, where he says, regardless of really what happened to your past, and I'm just summarizing here, regardless of what kind of happened in your past, what happens in the future is all you. If you want financial education, if you want literacy, if you want a better education, to network with people, connect with your family, putting them on the road to success is all you at this point. Everything you do. Now, me personally, didn't come from a wealthy family at all, had a single mother, which of course had two jobs just to support everything we did. And overall, Dave Ramsey is one that considers and really talks about avoiding debt at all costs. Now, this is one that I do not agree with to a point. Sounds great, but when you're a low income earner or when you're starting to get started, having debt is going to be a requirement. And I say this really with a grain of salt, because it does. When you start thinking about student loans giving you access to a career, giving you access to better opportunity, debt isn't really a sign of financial habits or poor financial habits unless you're living above your means with credit card debt. I feel like that is the point. That is kind of the tipping point for a lot of people, where even if you're not aggressively saving, putting that 10 to 20% away into an investment account or saving a lot of your salary, if you're better educating yourself, if you're going to school, if you're getting a degree, if you're getting, really the betterment of yourself is going to, for longevity wise, is going to provide you a lot more, not living paycheck to paycheck. But again, there has to be a point where you have to live within your means. It might mean in your 20s and 30s, you're not really saving a lot. You don't have a lot of compounding interest, not making a lot of contributions to the 401k, but you're knocking out the student loans. You're getting through the education. You're making sure that you're accumulating some of that bad debt, or some of that good debt. When we look at student loans, pretty good debt. When you even think of probably an auto loan, depending on the rate, I consider it good debt, because unfortunately, for a majority of us, we do need a vehicle. There might be a point where you do have to do an auto loan. And as much, again, avoiding bad debt at all costs, or avoiding debt at all costs, which Dave Ramsey preaches, it is not really feasible for a majority of people. Now, when it comes to something that is very feasible, it is building sustainable habits. When you think about, again, bottom line, Dave Ramsey, remove, a lot of the hate and disdain or the absolutely love for it. It really comes to, what do you do with your money? If I have $1, you have $1, everyone has $1. What do you do with that wealth? What are you doing dollar for everything you're doing? Do you know exactly where your money is being spent? Do you have a budget? Do you have a savings plan? Do you have a strategy? Do you have short-term and long-term financial goals? When it comes to sustainable habits, it is all you. Looking at long-term stability over short-term gratification. Are there places, even on a modest income, that you can put away small amounts of money? Even if it's 10, 20, 50 bucks a paycheck, it really makes a big difference. And of course, coupled with that, avoiding high interest debt. If you're carrying high interest debt, it is the absolute number one detrimental thing when it comes to financial education and literacy. It really is crazy. You will pay more in debt, probably more than anything in your entire life. And of course, you're giving away essentially your time for the items that you have. For higher income earners, you can scale, of course, a lot of these habits a lot quicker if you're looking to save a lot more. And living modestly is really the big part. So what is the big takeaway from this? Dave Ramsey's advice, admirable framework. I like the baby steps, which again, I feel like some of them could be a little bit outdated, but if you're emulating the wealthy mindset without imitating their actions. So again, they may have the ability to save 30% of their income because they're making $500,000 a year. Doesn't mean we really have to imitate exactly what they're doing, but you can adopt some of the principles and really the foundation and the fundamentals that really does make it work for them. So, all right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.